Hey y'all, what's up? What to do? My name is Tusa Mokoena and I'm out here in the Homegrown farm in Centurion, South Africa. I'm here to find out what actually goes down in this 8-hectare big farm. So let's go inside and meet Kabelo and hear what he has to say about that. You never know, might get my hands dirty with some stuff. This is Kabelo and Fez the farmer. They'll be taking you through this journey of thrill. So I'll leave them to get into it. See you on the flip side.
Thank you, Tuso. Alright, so I'm here with Fezeka. She's Fezeka the farmer from Homegrown farm. So here inside, as you can see, we have plants. We have planted what, Fezeka?
Cucumbers.
We've planted cucumbers and there's also ginger I heard.
Yes.
So how do they grow?
We plant them, we prepare the soil first of all, and once we prepare the soil we compost it and put fertilizer, and then we plant the seeds, and after a while they start germinating. They actually grow quicker in the greenhouse because it's much warmer for them and the conditions are just right for them, and yeah.
Okay, so is it like they are forced to grow in this kind of like a house?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And is it the only plants that we have here around the farm?
No, there's quite a few.
There's quite a few, ne?
Yes.
Yeah, so for now, this is what we have for you, but we also have other plants around the farm.
Hi, welcome back. We're still here at the Homegrown farm in Centurion, South Africa, and I am sitting here with Des. Des, how are you?
How are you, my dear? I'm good, thank you.
I'm great, thank you. Are you a farmer?
Yes, I am a farmer.
Oh wow, that's very
Why do you
interesting. I'm interested because I want to know if you're interested in farming, do you really have to study agricultural science?
No, you don't have to study agricultural science, but you need to know what you're doing in farming. You can go into areas where they are farming or teaching farming, and you can volunteer and in exchange get some farming skills.
Very interesting, very interesting. So I'm wondering, how many plants do we have here at the Homegrown farm?
Is it how many crops versus how many plants? So farming entails various things. So it depends on what you are farming. So we have a lot of plants, millions of plants. But in terms of crops, we are growing cucumbers for sale in the winter period. And it's in a tunnel. The reason we do that is because it's far more controlled, and we also do vertical growing, and that way you're able to get to yield higher numbers of plants. We're still new here, so the soil is not ready for us to grow large crops or a wider range of crops because the soil needs. So those are part of the intricacies of farming. You've got to have your soil preparation if you did not buy into a place that was already growing crops. So we selected a small area and we put in a 60-meter tunnel or a greenhouse, and then we started growing cucumbers.
You mentioned plants and crops. I thought that was one of the same thing.
No. Well, plants it's like saying human beings, but then you got males, females, Asians, and so it's all part of the human species. So yes, they're all plants, but in agriculture we don't call them plants, we call them crops.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And then when did you establish this place?
We came in here in 2019, towards the end of it. So we've actually been farming now for a year, exactly a year. And as you've noticed, I'm sure walking around, you've seen that we've got various small crops. We've got goat, sheep, pigs, rabbits, and chickens. The reason for that is because we're not really sure yet what we want to actually focus on. But we also love all these crops that the livestock and the crops that we're toying around with. So we will ultimately get to that place where we decide what it is that we seriously want to go with. I'm veering along the lines of sheep. They're quite hardy, they're less maintenance in terms of managing. Goats tend to run around a lot, but I'm also a bit conflicted because we Zulus, Amazulu, they love goat meat. So it's all that kind of stuff that one has to balance, and and look at what is much more sustainable over long term, and especially not heavy in the pocket in terms of what you're going to grow.
And then how do you go about the maintenance of the livestock as well as the crops?
Maintenance of livestock is very critical. You've got to know your livestock. You've got to know the various diseases. You also have to know what area you are breeding in, because various areas have various diseases. So you've got to inoculate your crops, or your livestock against the diseases that are specific to that area. For example, in Centurion we have something called foot rot. Although we don't have that other big disease called hartwater, which usually gets a lot of animals sick, so we're lucky in that sense. But we do get other diseases like blue tongue and so on. So you must know your diseases so that you can do prevention and also early treat if you find something amongst your stock.
I saw some beautiful pink flowers on the other side. Are those just flowers, or they actually have a purpose?
What you will know about homegrown is that actually nothing here that is growing does not have a purpose. Everything has some sort of a medicinal purpose, or an aesthetic purpose, or also water retention purpose. We do not grow any plants that would die in winter. So we grow what you call evergreens. We have succulents. The particular plant you're talking about is called the periwinkle. It's one of the top 10 plants in the world. It's used mainly in China and in India, and it is also a product in a drug called metmorphin, which is for treating diabetes. So if you're not feeling well, you take a bit of the leaves and drink it in the tea, and you're good to go. So you must also know that a lot of medicine, the commercial medicine as we know it, is derived from plants before it's actually derived synthetically, but it's derived from the active ingredients of plants. So we have a lot of those plants here that are medicinal, for medicinal purposes.
Farming is very important. I see.
Farming is critical because, the thing is with farming is that it's the closest you have, it's the closest relationship you have to a creator. Because what does that one book tell us, that in the beginning this was created? So when you put something in the soil, it grows, and you feel as close to the creator as possible. Even with animals, if you take care of them, you give them the correct or conducive living conditions, water, clean water, food, and so on, they breed. So you're creating life, or you're supporting life. So we have an egg incubator where we pop in fertilized eggs and we produce chickens. What else gives you that closeness to creation?
Has agriculture ever been this cool?
It is very cool. And I think that it's so important that our young people, especially in the continent, that we become more and more interested in agriculture. Our relationship with agriculture is a very sad one, in that our forefathers were made to work for pittance, free labor or slave type labor, where even though they did what they did well, growing crops for their masters, they were not able to economically benefit from that. So it was always associated with dirt. So obviously you're digging the ground, you're planting, but at the end of the day you're taking very small monies to go and feed your family. So our relationship as black people with agriculture is one that has always been about being at the bottom rung of the food chain in terms of the economy, whereas it created a lot of economic wealth for the owners of the farms.
Des, thank you very much for your time. I am so interested. I could go on and on and on. Thank you very much for your time.
Time is quite limiting. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
Did you know that goats are the cleanest animals in a farm? Did you know that organic food from the farm is more nutritious than processed food?
Did you know that agriculture is the largest employer in the world?
And did you know that farming can be therapeutic in a sense that it can bring you closer to your creator?
Did you know that farming is life?